I think it really takes like a person to divide themselves from the
Yeah.
majority of people. I think to be in the 1%, you need to.
I've never really bought into this whole waking up early thing, because if you think about it, we're living in a time now where if you're an Uber driver or a truck driver, your job is going to be replaced by AI. So
Bro, I was gonna.
We're
all
live.
right, we're live.
Yes, sir.
Here with
for
my
listening.
hosts,
Thanks
Cameron
for having us.
Barton,
Thank you.
Shawyan Razavi. Thank you for taking the time to come over here on a Thursday morning.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
All right, so we're talking about how to escape the matrix. How to
I believe so.
put yourself in the top 1% echelon of masculine achievements.
All
Yeah.
right. Why are you laughing, bro?
That can be taken out. This can. Okay.
Okay.
I think it really takes like a person to divide themselves from the majority of people. I think to be in the 1%, you need to separate yourselves from the normal person. You need to be up at 5 a.m. You need to be up.
So,
Why are you laughing?
I'm trying to say something.
bro, I go to bed at 5 a.m. sometimes.
Bro, we got to talk like we have our life like locked in, and we're waking. But that's the thing, because I know your ass
Actually-
don't wake up at 5 a.m.
All right.
Okay.
Cut.
Straight face.
I was gonna say, I've never really bought into this whole waking up early thing, because if you think about it, you have the same amount of time in your day regardless of what time you wake up at. Because in order to wake up earlier, you're gonna have to go to bed earlier. The only way you can really get more time is if you cut down sleep. But
Yeah.
obviously, sleep is important for your health and even mental health and
Sleep is important.
brain function. So, of course, you'll see all these motherfuckers online bragging about how they wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning.
I see that.
Now, if that works for them, that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that you still have the same amount of time as everyone else. Because
Yeah.
in order to wake up early, you're gonna have to go to bed early, which means you all have the same amount of time. So it really comes down to, would you rather have more time in the morning or more time in the evening? But it's ultimately personal preference what time you want to wake up at.
Right.
Yeah, I think it depends on, because I agree with you, but like let's say like it depends on the person. Like if you're trading stocks, you have to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
But like if you like people I see waking up like, oh, I woke up at 4 a.m. today, and like they just like went to like work out. Like you can do that later.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that requires you to be up in the morning, and then go to bed. Like, I mean, I guess you can do that if you want, but
Yeah.
personally, I don't think it matters. Like you don't have to do that unless like you have stuff that like tailors to the time.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, if you have a work or school or something, then you
Mhm.
should adjust your schedule accordingly. But, like, if you don't have anything going on, you can kind of just wake up whenever. Now,
Exactly.
obviously, you still want to be efficient with your time. You should still be spending all of your waking hours trying to escape the matrix
Yeah.
and become a
think
top
so.
1% individual. But you can do that any time of the day. And also,
I want to
Yeah, so-
elaborate on that. And
go ahead.
I think a lot of the time, people who go to bed late or go to bed early, I mean, it doesn't matter regardless, because the amount of time you get in between that sleep, that rest time, is time that your body resets, your brain resets, your muscles reset, your brain chemistry, and I think that's important for everybody. I mean, at least 7 hours of sleep a day.
Yeah, 7 to 9 hours for adults.
7 to 9 hours a
Yeah.
day, and then I mean, most of the time you'll reach like peak efficiency when you're at a certain amount of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that goes in like well with like the food that you're putting in your body. Like I think when you
Yeah.
What is so funny about that, bro?
I'm trying to relate it to something else. Cut.
I mean, actually, about the food. So, I mean, obviously, food is very important for your physical and mental health. Like, you talk about obesity or even like mental health and depression.
Yeah.
Like, I can guarantee you, if you talk to a obese person or a depressed person,
Right.
and you look at their diet. Now, I'm not saying this works 100% of the time, but generally, you're probably going to see a correlation between poor mental health
Yeah.
and eating McDonald's or just eating shit in general. Obviously, your diet is important for your brain and your body.
I think so.
If you're feeding yourself shit, your output is going to be shit. It's like putting water instead of gasoline in a car. Like, you need the
Yeah.
correct fuel to
Mhm.
fuel your body to defeat your opponents.
Yeah, like I know, like one of my
Yeah.
friends, he's a skinny person, but he eats pretty badly. Like he eats like outside all the time, and
I feel like that should make you fat.
no, bro, listen, he eats out a lot, like all the time. Like he goes to Cal Poly, he eats at like the dining, like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's all the time, and like you could tell, like it's like it's not healthy at all. Like you can tell, like he has like
Yeah.
stomach issues and stuff. Like he tells me all the time. I guess he has high metabolism. He can't see he's gaining weight, but it's still terrible for your body. Like it's terrible.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to like function like as well as you would like without a healthy diet. Like food that's like made for you, not made for you to eat, but what you should be putting in your body, the correct nutrition. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, I wanted to start off by saying one of the most crucial parts of your body is your bones, and
Wait, can I do this? Wait, so are you saying that having a boner?
the body obtains 176
The body
bones.
obtains.
Does it gain the bone? It just sounds sophisticated.
Did you mean obtain or contain?
All right.
All right, let me talk about you guys. All right, so what are we talking about? Nutrition right now? Oh,
Yeah, the
okay,
bones.
it's on. Okay. All right, let me get some water real
Let's
quick.
go on space.
Let me get some water real quick.
Let's go on space exploration because I think nutrition is something that I'm not as educated on.
Yeah.
All right, space exploration. So you're saying?
I mean, I feel like nutrition and space exploration are kind of related because, like, one problem with space exploration is, like, especially with long form space travel, like going to Mars for, a few years or even like permanently. Like some Mars companies, like I think Mars One, for example, they're offering one-way tickets for astronauts that want to go to Mars. So one of the problems we have to solve with space exploration is how do we sustainably grow food. Now, obviously, with limited water, like obviously water is important for agriculture. You need fertilizer, you need all that kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also on Mars, there's less sunlight than on Earth, so you have to grow plants with limited sunlight too. So you have all these problems to solve. How do you sustainably grow food on a different planet?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to be citing a movie right now, so it's not accurate. But have you guys seen? What was that one
Martian.
movie? Martian.
I've heard about it. I've never watched it.
Okay, yeah, I remember what's called. I watched it a long time ago, but he had to like drink urine, as like because there's no water.
Was it filtered? Or you just like drink it?
Nah, I drink straight.
Yeah, that's actually counterproductive. You should never drink unfiltered urine because it contains a lot of salts in it. And the thing is, your kidneys can only produce urine that's slightly less salty than, like, basically your kidneys have to remove salt from whatever you drink. If you're drinking salty liquids that are beyond a certain level of salinity, I think. So basically, when you drink urine, your kidneys have to go into overdrive to filter out the salt in the urine, which makes you even more dehydrated than you were before. So if you're gonna drink urine or salt water, you have to first remove the salt. But if you just drink urine or ocean water, for example, without filtering it, it's gonna be counterproductive.
I think in the movie Martian, I believe in the movie Martian, the protagonist used like a type of condensation method with fire and oxygen to get water, and then from that he grew potatoes on Mars. And this is a fictional movie, with it being, but the possibility is still there. I think Mars holds the right nutrients in the soil, as done by multiple NASA studies. They have Mars dirt samples, and I think they obtained the right nutrients to actually grow food that is here on Earth.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that would be pretty cool. So,
I think
I have a quick question to propose for you guys. Do you guys think that? Well, I mean, I think it's kind of inevitable. I think there guaranteed is life in any the galaxy, in the universe.
I mean, of course.
Yeah. How long do you think it's going to take or do you even think we're going to ever discover other life?
So that's have you heard of the Fermi paradox?
I've heard of it, but
so basically, the Fermi paradox states that if we can conclude that it's very likely that life does exist in the universe, like most scientists would say that it's very likely that even though we haven't found life yet, it's very likely that extraterrestrial life probably does exist. So if it's very likely that it does exist, how come we have yet to see any evidence for extraterrestrial life? Now, there are some explanations to this. So one is that because the universe is so old, it's possible that extraterrestrial life did exist at some point, but it's gone extinct by now, or etc. Or another explanation is that because the universe is so big too. I mean, the universe the observable universe has a diameter of 93 billion light years, and put into comparison, the farthest us humans have ever been from the Earth is the moon, which is about 1 light second.
Yeah.
So the observable universe is 93 billion light years, and the farthest we've been from the Earth is about 1 light second. So that's just how huge the universe is.
Yeah.
So it's possible that extraterrestrial life does exist, but what are you doing on your phone?
Dude,
I'm checking out
okay.
the. You go ahead.
Never mind. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. So it's possible that extraterrestrial life does exist, but the universe is so big that we can't visit them with our current technology, or even just communicate with them in a reasonable amount of time. Because if you think about
definitely.
it, the closest star to the sun is Proxima Centauri, and it's about 4.3 light years away. So if you were to send a signal to there, it would take about 4.3 years for it to get there, and then 4.3 years to get a message back. Like you're talking about 8.6 years just for the nearest star to the sun, just for the closest star to the sun, if there was
Just for
life
the
there.
possibility.
Yeah, just for the possibility. It would take you at least 8.6 years to just get a response.
Yeah, I think.
And there's also other explanations too.
Yeah.
So, sorry to interrupt, but another explanation to the Fermi paradox is that there's this concept called the Great Filter, which basically says that every civilization will eventually become advanced enough to where it creates technology that causes its own extinction. No, if that's the explanation to the Fermi paradox of why we haven't found aliens yet, that would be bad news for us, because that means that statistically we'll probably experience a great technological innovation that will cause our own extinction. Now, it could be nuclear weapons,
Very likely.
it could be bioengineering and like creating a deadly virus that also spreads a lot. It could be maybe even AI. Some people think that AI will be the downfall of society.
Mm-hmm.
AI is unpredictable and untested.
You know what?
I'm not sure if it's untested, but it is
unpredictable.
Let me see this.
Wait.
All right, we'll talk about AI in a second.
Okay, but basically, back to the point I was saying. So if the Great Filter is true, that's bad news for us, because that means that we could be on our path to developing technology that could lead to our own extinction, which then could explain why other species that may have existed in the universe went extinct, because they developed technology that caused their own extinction.
I want to elaborate on that. Did you know that NASA actually discovered in early September a potential planet with carbon dioxide on the surface called K2-18b? Stated by NASA, it could have potential life on the planet.
Where did you learn about this?
It on the NASA website. Damn it! You did that on purpose.
I'm sorry. All right.
What was the name of the planet again?
The planet's called K2-18b.
Okay. You know how far it is from the Earth?
I believe it is 124 light years.
124 light years.
Okay, 124 light years. So if you think about it, well, let's say hypothetically, we sent a message to them. It would take 124 years for them to receive it, and then 124 years for them to send a response back to us.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, like, if there was even intelligent life there. Now, it's possible there's life, but it's just like bacteria, and they don't have the capability of sending us messages.
By then, 124 years, the entire Earth population now would be completely replenished.
Yeah. And also, if you think about it, for the majority of human history, we didn't have access to radio technology.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's possible that aliens contacted us in the past, but we just didn't have that technology to receive their message.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Also, if we were to contact aliens, or if aliens were to contact us, what language would you communicate in to where like another species on a different planet would be able to understand it?
It would take such a miracle for us to have anywhere close to the same language.
Yeah, like how would you even communicate?
We wouldn't be able to communicate, I don't think. And I think that's what got lost in translation at some time in history. I think we were visited by extraterrestrial life, and even though we didn't have the means of communication, these forms of life still, had some influence on our future.
That's what's called the ancient astronaut hypothesis. So basically, it proposes, again, there's not really any evidence for this, but the ancient astronaut hypothesis proposes that throughout human history, there was aliens that visited us to, like, say, help us build the pyramids, or maybe even contributed to the formation of religion, stuff like that. Again, there's not much evidence for it. It is kind of pseudoscience, but that's what some people believe.
Yeah, wait, sorry, just to add on, like, just think about the pyramids. Like, if you really go there, I've never been there, but I've seen, like,
I've never been there either.
But it's just so, like, crazy how they built that with no machinery or anything.
Yeah.
Like, what is it made of exactly? Like,
it's just like stone. I think so.
And history states that this limestone was carried by millions of slaves, and
Yeah,
it's hard to believe that over that time, over I mean, really a short time in history. I mean, time is so broad, and I think that time, given how many slaves and how many lives were given to actually build the pyramids, and it's just kind of hard to grasp in our modern society, because back then people were disposable to higher power, and there weren't the same human rights as there are today.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, obviously the Egyptians built the pyramids for their gods. Um, but anyways, back to on how they built it. We don't exactly know for sure, but I've read stuff online. I think what they did is they like basically had a bunch of slaves like attach ropes to like a giant brick, and like they sort of like pulled it up like this like triangle thing sort of
Mhm.
with like a bunch of ropes and slaves. Uh, but yeah, we don't really know for sure how the pyramids were built. It was pretty impressive, honestly. Like thousands of years ago, they were able to build that without our present day technology.
And we're talking about thousands of
Yeah,
pounds of limestone. I mean, how many humans does it take to actually haul up one brick of limestone? And these bricks are massive. I mean,
exactly.
how big these are, it would take so much human like power and effort to actually create this, and the number of limestone bricks that built the pyramids, it's hard to humanly like grasp.
Yeah. Have you seen that one? I think it's in South America or Central America, where there's a pyramid found over there. Someone recently.
Underground. Underground.
It was kind of covered with like grass and like
Yeah.
vegetation and stuff. It was
Like a
like
jungle
growing.
temple.
It's like some
Yeah.
lost city or something.
No, it was just like a pyramid. Like it looks like I thought I saw. I was reading something. It was what was it? It was like it was a pyramid that like the grass like mountain, and it's like exactly in the shape of a pyramid, and it points in the same like perfect north direction or something like how the other pyramids are, and it's
Oh,
like
okay.
and it's even more accurate than the other pyramids, which is like I thought was kind of interesting,
Yeah.
but we
I heard
don't know
this
what
one
that is.
conspiracy theory once. I don't think it's true, but it was saying that like the coordinates for the pyramids match up with the speed of light.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't north. I don't know.
That's for the pyramids in Egypt. Again, I don't think it's true, but like some
How
people
can they
think.
be that precise?
Again, I don't even
That's
know if it's true.
exactly.
Like I just heard it somewhere online, but
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up. But um, I mean, yeah, that's why some people believe in the ancient astronauts hypothesis. There's also other hypotheses too. Like some people believe that there was a lost civilization on Earth that existed millions of years ago, which
Atlantis, or is that just like another?
not necessarily Atlantis, but
Yeah.
if you think about it, if all humans were to disappear today, within a few 100,000 years, there'd be no evidence of our existence.
Yeah.
And to put it into comparison, the Earth has existed for about 4.54 billion years, and life on Earth has existed for about, I think, 3.7 billion years.
Yeah.
That's a huge time frame. So it's possible that there was intelligent life that existed before us, but they all went extinct, and then a few 100,000 years later, all the evidence of their existence vanished. So
that's possible it happened to our
maybe
evolution.
That's like the key,
What?
like,
our evolutionary path.
because if you really dive deep,
What do you mean?
I think that you made a good point, stating that there could have been a lost civilization or a lost time frame that was on Earth, but I think that could also happen to our timeline as we know it.
I mean, like we could eventually become a lost civilization.
We could become a lost civilization.
I feel like there's artifacts that would prove that there would like. Oh, sorry. So are you saying that there'd be no like there's no proof of life on Earth, or just us like our timeline?
No, I mean, like hypothetically, if humans were to disappear completely within a few 100,000 years, maybe a few million years, all evidence of our existence would vanish. There'd be no evidence of our existence eventually with enough time.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what the hypothesis is saying is that it's possible that there was an ancient advanced civilization that existed on Earth before, but then after enough time, all the evidence of their existence vanished. Again, there's no evidence of this; it's just a hypothesis.
Yeah.
There's no way you can prove it or disprove it.
Because even if there was still evidence, back in the caveman days,
I mean, even caveman days would be too recent.
Yeah.
no, I'm saying let's say there even was, they wouldn't even know what it was. They wouldn't have
okay.
the comprehension to understand think that this was life on Earth so long ago, and they can't really document anything. They don't know how to do any of that. Like once civilization advanced, then they were able to document history. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you're right, after a couple 100,000 years, just all the natural disasters and climate change and everything in the world, everything would be wiped off. There'd be no.
It's insignificant.
Yeah.
to actual time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because time is infinite and the universe is always expanding. So even though our
if time
lives
is
right
infinite.
now, I think time's infinite, and I think the universe is never there. It's always a constant. There's always going to be a matter, like a life matter, at some point, because the universe is always expanding. It's always stretching, and as the universe stretches, so does time. So our timeline right now, no matter how many billion years, is still going to be insignificant in the end.
Yeah.
All right,
Which actually,
wait, sorry, what were you saying? Continue.
so we don't exactly know when time started. Many physicists say that time started with the Big Bang, so 13.8 billion years ago. But the problem with any infinite. So many philosophers actually believe that it's impossible for infinites to exist in reality. So it's called. They say that actual infinites can't exist in reality. If you think about it, if time is infinite, it would be impossible for the present day to ever exist because there'd be an infinite amount of time between uh, the past and now. So it would be impossible for the present day to ever occur if time is infinite. And that's what some philosophers say. Now, so it's generally accepted in physics that time began with the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago.
Yeah, because if you think about it, then you like when would time have started? If it's infinite, it would date back to
Yeah.
nothing.
And then you could argue that if time is infinite, it would be impossible for today to ever occur because there'd be an infinite amount of time. So like because the thing about infinity is that between any two numbers, there's an infinite amount of numbers. Infinity, like
Infinity is not even a number. It's just
it's just like a concept.
Yeah.
Like there's an infinite amount of numbers between infinity and infinity plus a million.
Yeah.
So basically, like if time is infinite, from the perspective of the past, there'd be an infinite amount of time between the past and right now.
Yeah. Wait, real quick. What I just like another interesting thing like I learned recently. Well, not recently, a couple like semesters ago in calculus. Like we were doing like something to do with like infinities, like approaching infinities. Like there's large infinities and small infinities, and I never knew that because it's like one approaches infinity faster than the other. Although technically they're still gonna reach like infinity.
Yeah.
Like it was all with limits and everything, but yeah, it's just weird. Like it's a cool concept because I think what you were trying to say was not that it's infinite, but it's never ending. Is that what you're trying to say? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, like if it started, it's gonna end. Like, or is there like a theory like that? It's like I know there's like a like there's like a theory, or it's like no, I don't think it has to do with starting and ending.
Well, we can just like tie it back to making money in our society.
Wait, no, I was actually gonna tie something back. All right, so like we were talking about like the pyramids and everything, like history. I think history is something cool to talk about. Like I was recently like what was it like do you know anything about Australian history or like I know German history? Like
You're Australian, right? You speak in an Australian accent.
That might.
Oh wait, dude, don't talk about a freaking mic.
Australian history is very broad, and
Yeah.
it's Sammy was asking for my accent, so g'day, mate. I'll put the bobby on the shrimp on the bobby, mate.
I mean, I've never been to Australia, but all I know about Australian history is like it was conquered by Britain, and then
yeah,
it was like they used Australia for slaves. It was like, well, not slaves, prisoners. I think they used
prisoners
Australia as a prison.
well, the Aborigines
Yeah.
were prisoners to the British colonists.
Okay.
And that later led to real estate.
Bro, no, we can't jump from this to real estate.
I know, I'm just kidding.
All right, real quick, I want to talk about history because I was watching an interesting video, and of like the coolest punishments and like of all time.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of nasty shit.
Dude, this one was crazy. This one was number 2 on the list. It was done in the Persian Empire.
Great. Here we go.
All right, so
Middle East.
dude.
I mean, I think the Middle East has the worst punishments.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay, back to here. So it was this video, right, where they bring like the person being like punished. They tie him to like a small little boat, and they cut holes for the legs and the arms. Like you're basically tied like this.
Damn.
Outside of the like with your arms and feet outside the boat, and they lather you down with honey and milk, and then they force feed you honey and milk until you're visibly like full. And then they send you into like a lake where there's like a bunch of like fleas and bugs and like rodents everywhere, and you're basically stuck, right? You can't do anything. and and basically like the first day, like the sunlight's gonna hit you. Like they do this, like the sunlight's gonna be harsh. That's not even that, like that's not even like bad at all compared to what's
Why
gonna
do you
happen.
just throw up the milk and the honey?
Other way around, you're gonna it causes diarrhea, like extreme violent diarrhea, and so you're gonna, it's crazy. So listen,
You just like shit yourself to dehydration.
Oh, the whole boat is covered in, like the whole area in front of you is covered in diarrhea. All the flies and mosquitoes, they're gonna start eating on the honey and the milk on you, and like through your belly, and like the rats, and they're all over like the diarrhea. And the first day you're gonna survive, it's just gonna be like a little painful and gross. They bring you back and they do it again until you die. And someone documented this, that like they were there and they documented, it was one of the most cool things ever. Someone survived for 17 days of just doing that, because the honey and milk keeps you alive, like with the but it makes you diarrhea like 4 times a day, 3 times a day, and there's like he said on the last day, hornets were just, you can't see his face at all. There's hornets everywhere, and there's like holes in his stomach, and it was like, dude, that is.
I've heard of something equally as bad. So it's called rat torture. Basically,
I hate that.
When I looked at all the punishments, a lot of them had to do with rats.
Yeah. Basically, what they do is they get hungry rats, and they put it on a bowl on your stomach.
Oh yeah, and they heat up the bowl.
Yeah, they put heat. So basically, it's hungry, and also there's heat. Yeah, they just dig into your stomach and eat your internal organs.
I don't want to talk about torture. I'm just gonna be honest.
Anyway, speaking about torture in the Middle East, there's countries in the Middle East.
Oh no, we're not talking about the Middle East, man.
Okay.
We're not, because that's a sensitive topic for a white boy, bruh.
You're the only white guy.
I know.
We got 2 Middle Eastern people.
Yeah. All right.
You can just listen. We can educate you.
We can talk.
Okay. Listen. All right. So back to what we were talking about. What are you doing? Are you trying to flex your arms, by the way?
Shit.
All right. Anyway. Okay. What were we even talking about? Middle Eastern punishments.
Middle East.
Oh, the rat one.
The rat one. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about rats.
All right.
Talk about the Middle East.
Okay. Let me tell you this. So
Palestine.
the Middle East.
Palestine. Is it a country?
So I think that actually ties back to what we were talking about real estate.
Yeah, let's talk about real estate.
Okay.
Let's just like jumping around from random topics.
Okay. So we started at space, going to like space exploration, and Earth, history. Let's start switching up. What's another topic?
Finance and real estate.
No, we'll relate it
don't
back
want
to
anything about
finance.
finance and real estate.
Yeah. Oh, what about AI and like jobs?
AI.
Okay.
Java?
That's a good one.
Jobs.
It's actually a good one. So AI. So what's interesting now is we're living in a time where most of the unskilled workers will be replaced by AI. Eventually, maybe even the skilled workers, like even the white-collar workers, might be replaced by AI. But we're living in a time now where if you're an Uber driver or truck driver, your job is gonna be replaced by AI. So.
Bro, I have something to say about that. I was in San Francisco recently.
Was it Waymo?
Yeah, Waymo.
I was in Chandler once. It's close to Phoenix. Basically, they have a service there called Waymo. So they have it in San Francisco, Phoenix area, and then I think they're looking into expanding in LA and Austin. Basically, it's like Uber, but it's a fully autonomous rideshare service. So you order the ride, fully autonomous vehicle pulls up, and what differentiates it from Teslas, for example, is that the Waymos have like all kinds of sensors on them that Teslas don't have. So they have LiDAR sensors, radar, all kinds of stuff. So they have like it has a spinning thing on the top. Basically, it is pretty cool. The only limitation is that it can't go on the freeways for some reason, and then also
too dangerous.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because it's fully autonomous, there's no driver, and also again, it's only limited to specific areas. So if you're like over here, like if you're outside of Phoenix or San Francisco, as of right now, you can't use it. But it is pretty cool. So, like there was this one video that was trending once where there was a bunch of people in San Francisco that burned down a Waymo car because they don't like it. That's kind of fucked though.
That is fucked.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
I think it's going to take a lot for people to trust autonomous cars, and I think that those services being there and in some of the major cities is pretty cool to start thinking about, self-driving, self-thinking machinery, and that's some a little foreign to some people all over the world. I mean
that's usually the case with most technology. Usually, whenever there's any like new groundbreaking technology, there's public backlash. You get like all the boomers like arguing about why we don't need it, and then eventually, in a long enough time frame, it will be accepted by society. An analogy to this is back in the day, like back in the 1900s. This might seem strange, but elevators actually had drivers back in like the 1920s.
I think
back in the 1900s. So
I saw.
Basically, there used to be an elevator driver, and then eventually around the 1940s ish, they got removed, and then elevators became autonomous. It was actually public backlash about that. So people wanted elevator drivers, but eventually, with enough time, people accepted autonomous elevators.
Yeah.
And then, sorry. And then another example is with airplanes. So a lot of flights are very automated by autopilot. Now, obviously, the pilots still have to pay attention, but there's a lot of autonomous with flying planes. And in some cases, it's actually safer for autopilot to take off or land than a pilot, especially in bad weather conditions. Like, because like if a pilot's trying to land a plane in stormy weather, for example, or any bad weather conditions, it can actually be safer for the autopilot to land because it has more sensors and stuff that the pilot can't. Like the pilot can't see everything in bad weather.
Yeah, it's like about like you were talking about elevators and stuff. People like worrying about like technology. Like people think AI is gonna take over like all these jobs, but
it can also create new jobs.
Yeah, it'll create new jobs, and it's like what software engineers do. They use AI to help them. It's like a tool. It's not. It's made using machine learning by software engineers to assist everybody with their daily lives. And many software engineers say it's not going to take over their job. It's going to take over jobs like journalism is like a number. Like I think it's already being taken over, honestly, because
or at least it helps a lot with journalism.
Oh, dude, not even. It's like it can do everything that journalism does on its own, except there's some like capturing like the human like emotion behind like what they journal and stuff. But so I guess it can't fully, but it can do like the exact same thing a journalist does, except obviously like the human aspect. So I think, and the same thing, like I heard like back in like when Google first came out, like people were saying that software engineers like back when Google first came out are going to have their jobs taken because you can just Google code. You can just look up code that's already
been. I don't think you can Google code. Like you can like Google guides for code, but
no, but when Google first came out, when Google first came out, they thought you can just Google all the like how to do all this stuff, and you don't like there's no like critical thinking required anymore because you can just look it up all online. And they think that anybody can just do it. Like you don't like the software engineering like coding skill is no longer like as impressive as it used to be. But then it ended up being nothing. I think that's gonna be the same with AI. It's gonna be helpful in a lot of senses, even like for anything, and no matter what you do. Like I see people like I mean this doesn't sound the best, but like people in the like I saw a TikTok of this nurse Googling or like asking AI what the symptoms of like this thing is that this patient has, and I was like, dang. I mean, it kind of what I do think is bad about AI is the students in school right now using AI to like with their classes.
Gonna be me.
It's gonna no, because I use AI to like for like summarizing some like articles, so I don't have to like read full like all of it, like especially for general education classes where that's not related to my major, or I use AI to help me with physics. Like it's super helpful with physics. Even programming, like I'm stuck. It's like it's very very helpful. But actually, quick funny side story. My friend.
I mean, ChatGPT can generate code for you.
It can, but it's not accurate all the time. Not like 80% of the time, it's inaccurate. It can like. The newer ChatGPT, like you pay for it or use Microsoft Copilot.
Yeah, I have the premium one.
Oh, you do? Okay, yeah. It's pretty good. It's really helpful. It's also better with like teaching you concepts of what to do. Yeah. And when you ask it to generate, like it can bear like I saw someone generate like a Flappy Bird game with it, but after like an hour of continuously telling it to fix this issue because it would give it like a program, and you'd put it into like the IDE, and it would not run. They'll say there's an error, and then you tell ChatGPT there's an error. And half the time it won't fix it. It'll just repeat the same code. But it is still. But also, just a quick little side story. My friend last night, he submitted a discussion board, and he accidentally copy and pasted the whole thing from ChatGPT. Damn. And the beginning of it says, "Sorry, let me fix that for you."
Oh my god!
And then he had to email his teacher. It was funny though. But yeah, no AI. I think a lot.
On it?
Huh?
Did you get a 0 on it?
I don't know. It was last night, and he emailed the teacher, so he doesn't know yet. But I do think AI is gonna cause a lot of students to rely on it, and they're not gonna learn like the critical thinking skills. Like they're gonna see like a passage, like a sentence they're gonna use to like put it into ChatGPT to figure out what it means or what it's trying to say, and they're gonna lose that critical thinking skill because they're just gonna rely on AI.
Yeah, although one analogy to that is, if you think about it, like back in the day when calculators were invented, people probably thought that was cheating, but then now it's commonly accepted in schools.
It's necessary.
Yeah, it's necessary. Or even like with the word processor, back in the day, decades ago, when Google Docs or Microsoft Word was created, you could argue that having a spell checker or even a grammar checker is cheating. But nowadays, it's accepted in academic school. So you could argue the same thing about AI. Like right now, there's going to be some public backlash about it, but in the future, I predict that it will be more accepted.
Definitely.
But also, another thing I think about is that if you think using AI to help you with schoolwork is cheating, like I'm not saying like copying directly from AI, I'm saying using it to help you. If you think that's cheating, then with that logic, using a tutor is also cheating too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just this is more accessible to people who can't afford it, and it is very, very helpful. People underestimate how helpful, especially for math. Like if you use the free ChatGPT, it's mathematics. Like if you ask for math help, it's not accurate at all. But if you
because the free one can't analyze. The free one can't perform any math.
You know what it does actually? ChatGPT 4 uses Python libraries. Python's a programming language. And what are you looking at me for? AI is developed
Python
using Python
This is
machine learning.
coding talk.
This is AI. AI
Weird
is
talk.
made by programming, buddy. Sorry, I'm
Tying it back to business.
Nah, okay, real quick.
Tying it back to
It
work.
uses Python math libraries